Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Creating Wealth and Wellness podcast with me, Terra, your co-host, with Amanda Kingsley. We are going to take you on a journey today, as we always do, where freedom is cultivated through personal development, where women connect to fuel their futures, and where wealth is created as a byproduct of being well. And today, we're talking sensuality/sexuality. Amanda, hello.
Hello. It's going to be like our period episode.
No, it's not going to. We don't need a dun-dun-dun. No, but this has been on our list of something we've wanted to talk about for a while, and we just haven't gotten there. We always had something a little bit more pressing or something we were a little more excited about to talk about. That's kind of a double entendre, huh? In any case, what are we grateful for today before we get going?
I'm grateful for all the new leaves on the trees, and they're just like perfectly super shiny and fresh and healthy. And so like I woke up this morning and the sun was on all the leaves, and it just it might even stay that way the rest of the summer, but right now it's so new and beautiful, it's like catches my breath.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the leaves are so beautiful.
Okay, so I have a weird gratitude, but for me, my gratitude today is for My Little Pony.
Tell.
So my 4-year-old daughter is super into My Little Pony. And I am kind of into it with her, and we all have My Little Pony to thank today since I'm stuck at home, and she is watching My Little Pony the movie. And I find it to be really thematically wholesome for her. It's all about like feminine power and friendship, and there's just so many great things about it, and she's really into it, and so am I. So thank you, My Little Pony, that I get to record this podcast for an hour and a half.
I'm kind of surprised. Like I haven't seen My Little Pony since I was a kid, and I know it's like a new evolution of that. Mm-hmm. But I would have assumed I would have made a judgmental assumption that it was not that wholesome.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it probably wouldn't be for some people, but I'm hard pressed to find even the stuff that is not totally in alignment for us. Makes a really good conversation and like points out the differences in what other people believe. So
yeah,
I find it to be really, really fun.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. My kids put on Lego Friends recently. Don't. That was super judgy of me, but like, I don't know. I didn't like the way they were talking to each other, and like,
I'm a little hard pressed sometimes to find kids shows that I love, but her her character in My Little Pony is exactly who she is. It's like this powerful kind of tomboy, adventure, kind of competitive, but super good friend. Like it's just, it's her to a T, and I just love that that's her favorite character.
I love that. I'm totally going to watch it with Isaac.
They're very archetypal. All of the characters are, also maybe why I love it so much, because they're totally archetyped.
That's totally why you love it. And I love that we are going to transition from My Little Pony to sensuality and sexuality.
Oh God.
And how I think the biggest way we want to approach this podcast is from like just a personal level. We are not experts again, as in all of our podcast episodes. We're just a couple of mamas, a couple of women, a couple of entrepreneurs, a couple of researchers and investigators who are sharing with you and having a conversation. So yeah, let's just come at this from like what's life like for you, Terra, when you're in a really good place in your sensual and sexual relationship with yourself, with your partner, with the world, and how do you get there? Like, why are you there sometimes and not there sometimes? Like, what are your tools to be at a really good place?
Yeah. Okay, so does that mean that you want me to start answering this question?
Because I just asked.
My name?
I can answer my own question. But.
Okay, so there were kind of a few questions in there. So the first one that you asked was, what is it like for me when I'm in a healthy place regarding my sexuality, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my husband and I have been married for almost 13 years. June 17th will be our 13th anniversary. And I will admit that we still have a very healthy relationship with each other in that way. There's still just as much desire as there was when we were dating. Like we're still very passionately and well matched, sexually and sensually, because for me, it's just as satisfying for me to get like that physical affection and cuddling and the kind of sensual attention that my partner and I share. You know, like even the simple things like when I'm cooking dinner, which is also food and eating and cooking and nourishing my body in that way, is totally one of my sensual outlets. It supports my feeling sensual if I feel like I've put healthy, delicious, you know, good things in my body. But I'll be cooking dinner and he'll just kind of come up behind me and put his hand on my lower back and kiss me on my cheek or on the side of my neck. And to me, that is when I am sensually healthy, because it pulls me back into my body. It lets me share, you know, the pleasurable use of my body with him, if that's not too much to say. But yeah, when I enjoy the connection with other people when I'm feeling sensually healthy.
Yeah. This is bringing up another question. And I know I have a lot of questions on the table right now. Just bringing up another question, that same act, right? That like beautiful act of just bringing attention to you in that moment, depending on where you're at in other places at your life, might not be received the same way.
Absolutely.
Right? Like if you're super stressed about work, or you're just like frustrated with parenting, or if you're so it's just
stressed and overwhelmed and have a neck ache from too much work, and
yeah,
sort of like, get out of my way, I'm making dinner. That's when I'm not healthy sensually.
Yeah. And so I guess for me, it just highlighted the fact that when we're in a really it's just all connected, right? I mean, how many times can you show that it's all connected? But when you're at a good place with who you are and where the rest of the pieces of your life are, can really sink into those moments in a different way. And they just feel so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that example. That's beautiful.
And they're very connected to me, because sexuality and sensuality, you know, they don't actually exist often for me independent of one another, if that makes sense. Like I'm not really one to just go and have sex if it's not actually sensual as well. I mean, sometimes, yeah, but not as a rule. They're very, very connected to me. And also, like, you know, TMI, but my libido is extremely connected to how sensual I feel like I am living my life in a healthy way. So like that kind of disappears when I am not nourishing myself sensually. For sure.
Yeah, I feel like my libido definitely improved by exercise. And again, it's about confidence. Like I feel better in my body when I'm exercising. Right. So it boosts my libido. Same eating well. I don't notice the tie quite as much with eating well, but it's definitely there. Not as drastic and obvious, definitely there. Also, like when when I feel like a rock star mom, I feel like a super sexy wife, right?
Yeah.
When I feel like a rock star businesswoman, I feel like a super sexy wife. Like, yeah, totally all connected. And then I think there's also times, I forgot all the other questions I asked, so I'm just going to go where it goes. There's also times where I have consciously like weighted sexuality and sensuality and increased that awareness in my life to help support all the other parts, right? Like,
absolutely.
Oh, if I give attention to my husband, who we've been together over 20 years, not married all of those years, but if I bring attention here, I know that I will start to feel better in all the other places.
Right, absolutely.
So it goes both ways. You know, I guess I just wanted to bring that up, that it goes both ways, that when we feel great in other places in our life, it improves our own relationship with ourselves and our partners. And sometimes when we need to boost the other places, bringing attention there can really help.
That's so very true. And I know that I have had that experience many times where my relationship with David, my husband, is definitely like one of my core pillars of strength and security. So when that's thriving and when that feels very deeply connected and supported, I feel more confident and more powerful across the board.
Definitely.
So I'm sure, I mean, whether you're partnered or not, that may or may not be true for you, but it's definitely true for me. And speaking to exactly what you're saying, like if I'm feeling a little bit funk, one of the first things that I check is like, oh, am I feeling really deeply connected and supportive with David?
Yeah, right.
And if I'm not, I mean, like, he responds very well to sexual connection. It's a very easy way for me to make sure that we are connecting in that way, because it's sort of not connecting in the way of sexuality, but connected in that deeply supportive, collaborative way.
Such a beautiful place, because it does, when you can get yourself in it, it's so raw and so human and so like out of body driven.
It's like primal. What's this?
Yeah, so that's a perfect word for it. So primal, that it's like a reset button. So if you can get there, it really does reset a lot of other things, and it's a good place to kind of recheck.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. And it does not have to be with a partner. Like one of my favorite, and this will be a good link, Becca Sarich is a favorite of mine for like just connecting with your sexy. And she has a group called Nourish Your Sexy, and I'm sure her website's evolved beyond what I even remember. But it doesn't have to be with a partner. And when you have a good sensual relationship with yourself, in whatever physical or non-physical way that is, it improves with your partners. So that's a good place to check in with too. Like if I'm not connecting with my partner in the ways that I want to, maybe I need to connect with myself in the ways that I want to.
That's a fantastic point.
And also like it's that primal piece again. Really, so much of what we want in our life comes to giving and receiving, right? Giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. And because like good sex or deeply sensual moments are so primal and often about both giving and receiving. So it's a really good place to practice both of those things.
Yeah. And if you think of, hello, my sweet. So my
I just saw some of him just fell out of his
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to fix him. We have some triage needed on Little D, or one of our favorite stuffed.
Mama will fix it.
I will fix him. Can you go put him somewhere safe for me? Because I'll just finish in a few minutes and then I'll come help you, okay?
Okay, we can knit him.
Oh, you want to knit him? That's a great idea. We can try that. Can you go put him somewhere safe, and I'll be out with you in just a couple minutes. You can shut the door too, please. Thank you. I'll see you in a few minutes.
See you in a few minutes.
Okay. Okay.
This actually, her coming in brings up one more thing I'd love to touch on before we wrap up, which is our relationship with our children around our own expression of sensuality and sexuality with ourselves and our partner. And our discussions, like Arya's 4, so very different than where I'm at with an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Yeah, definitely.
But how our own, the like level of health we have in our own relationships around sexuality and sensuality, how that trickle down is so important for our children.
Yes, definitely.
So important.
Even so much as like I want to demonstrate to her what like what it's like for her parents to want each other. I mean, not in like an overtly sexual way, obviously.
That
but
moment of cooking, right? Like,
right,
you want her
being
to
affectionate with each other in a way that is different than the way that we are affectionate with her. And, you know, it's absolutely true, but it does trickle down because we're modeling to our kids what those kinds of relationships with our partners or with ourselves is like. This harkens back to one of the early conversations we had even about like body image and stuff like that. But do we deny our body the sensual pleasure of like, oh, well, if we're taking a shower, is it always just, you know, like just to clean ourselves? Or can we enjoy like having nice fragrance or whatever in the shower, having like a really awesome decadent body wash and taking a minute to like make yourself feel good? Like that's important. That is indulging in that sensuality piece and sort of nourishing yourself that way, that obviously shows to your children whether or not you value yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, I remember as a kid, like catching moments that were like a little edgy, like a kiss or a whatever, like you said, hand on the back cooking dinner, like not anything inappropriate. Absolutely,
right, of course,
beautiful and loving and appropriate, and being like at the same time like, oh, my parents just kissed, but how awesome, right? Like there was this really grounding like safety in that that felt really good to experience as a kid. So even though you were like, ew, so gross, at the same time you were like, phew, my parents are
still in love.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true because, you know, my mom didn't have any functional or any healthy relationships my entire life. So they were always negative and or, you know, destructive in some way. So it is so important to me that I get to show Aria like that her parents are partnered together, because that it's where I get so much of my strength and security from in my, you know, confidence and security in our relationship. But I want her to share that too. Like, yes, we are here and we behave with each other in ways that we don't behave with anyone else, which shows you that we, you know, we are partnered together. And that to me is a beautiful thing.
This is bringing up a really funny story, and I'm trying to remember what I was eating. I was eating something recently, and my 13-year-old was in the room, and I just like, I didn't really think. I just said like, and I was standing at the counter eating with my husband, and I was like, that was orgasmic. And he was both like horrified. I
really want to know what you were eating now.
No, like I so can't remember what it was. Like, no idea. And it wasn't anything like crazy fancy. It like might have been a grinder or something. I don't even know what it was, but it was just like so delicious that that's how I described it. And she was both intrigued and horrified at the same time. I was like, and we just laughed at each other, and you know, it was a good moment. Like, and it was that crossing the line of like talking about your food as orgasmic in front of a 4-year-old is really different than a 13-year-old, because she was like, oh, I know what that means.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, totally. But it also demonstrates the connection between the sensuality and the sexuality of life.
Yeah, and that's how healthy it is, that it can feel that good in a moment of taking a really delicious bite.
Exactly. That's sort of what I was trying to get at the very beginning. But absolutely. I love that. Perfect story. Perfect story to segue us into our asks.
Asks. Okay. Do you have one present? What do I want to ask for this week? Shout it out. I have been wanting and not wanting at the same time. And I know this is a conversation that comes up on Facebook all the time, but I've been slightly tempted to get into a new Netflix series.
Oh.
Yeah. So, if anyone has a favorite that maybe is off the beaten path from like the usuals, like you know, the ones that always come up in those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Send them to me, because I mean, I get crazy obsessive about them, and I will watch like 4 hours in a row or something.
Oh, so you're a binger.
Oh, I am such a binger. And then I do it like 2 to 3 times a year. And then I don't watch anything the rest of the year. Like, I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. I don't watch anything, really.
Wow.
So, but I feel I'm ready for another binge.
Okay. All right, so suggestions on things that you could get into.
So what? Be sensually or sexually pleasing.
Okay, all right, that's what I was going to say, is we need a little bit of qualification of like what genres you would be into.
I'm not into sci-fi or like gladiator kind of stuff.
So nothing super violent or sci-fi?
No.
Okay. All right, interesting. All right, I'm looking
like
for...
The last one I binged was The Crown, which I'm just love.
I've never seen it.
I love it. Yeah. So there's an example of a love.
Okay, so my ask is actually going to be sort of like taking a page from your book of asking the universe for something. And that is that my epic drive home from Washington State to Massachusetts in a couple of weeks goes smoothly and with only wonderful events. It's more than welcome to be eventful, but I want them only to be like positive and pleasing and safe.
Beautiful.
Okay, that's my ask. All right.
Okay. Until next time.